Hello everyone, my name is Diego Fontanive. I'm the founder of EOF Project, which is, in a nutshell, an initiative aimed at refining our thinking skills, combining, among other things, applied critical thinking with first principles thinking and what is known as metacognition and memetics. This is a very short presentation of my approach, titled Metamemetic Thinking as an Approach to Implicit Bias Reduction, for the 2021 International Social Philosophy Conference, which is sponsored by the North American Society for Social Philosophy. My approach focuses on the necessity to implement educational programs aimed at improving our thinking abilities, which I consider absolutely salient and important these days, particularly nowadays. The approach I propose is what I call metamemetic thinking, and it is fundamentally a cognitive tool aimed at decreasing cognitive biases and poor reasoning skills, and to rather increase higher order thinking. The problem of cognitive biases and general lack of critical thinking abilities is probably definitely impacting our society today as never before. A whole variety of factors is behind this consideration. Among many things, the current information overload we have to deal with daily, for instance. Another factor is the current lack of approaches aimed at providing people critical thinking training capable of filtering information properly. Well, among other elements, the advent of social media, of course, the dropping of average attention span, the reality of communicating with each other using digital salvas, and the whole, of course, internet, instant global communication in general, and so on and so on and so on. Learning and teaching, but most importantly, understanding, actually understanding, and actually applying criticalness has never been so important, so salient, and so needed as it appears to be today in this chaotic phase of human history, which many also call rightly, to my viewpoint, the post-truth era, referring to the increasing disinterest to find out what is really truthful, what is veracious, what is based on valid premises, and what is not. Another problem is the a psychosocial series of mutations also sees an increase of conspiracy theories, unsound beliefs, like the so-called New Age movement, for instance, a proliferation of microsects or cults or populisms, and all sorts of irrational and dangerous ideologies. The point in a nutshell is critical thinking is certainly and obviously a necessity, but critical thinking also seems to be a lost cause, unfortunately. The theory of memes, which is also known as memetics, is an approach which, to my viewpoint, can actually increase critical thinking skills if a training is provided in this direction. As well, it can actually revive critical thinking itself as a tool, as a skill. Memetics refers to memes, such as units of culture, for instance, including beliefs, epistemic acceptances, even ideas that can actually replicate themselves in the Darwinian sense and spread via passing from mind to mind, from group to group, from tribe to tribe, from Facebook group to Facebook group, in ways that often resemble the behavior of an actual biological virus. as proposed by researchers such as evolutionary biology, Richard Dawkins, or Daniel Dennett, and Dr. Susan Blackmore, and many, many, many others, memes can indeed be called the viruses of the mind. And I completely agree with this interpretation of memes. So to analyze and to comprehend memes critically and constructively, what is really required is a very counterintuitive approach. A counterintuitive approach focused on differentiating between the very activity, the very psychological activity of thinking from the mere production of thought processes. So the premise is that thought processes and the very act of thinking itself are two different psychological operations. So the term metacognition is often intended as a thinking about thinking. Well, this concept, to my viewpoint, has no practical applications at all as long as the entity, the thinker that performs the thinking about thinking is also not inquired critically. So, to explain, in this regard, an important inquiry regarding this approach should therefore focus on the question whether or not it's possible to think analytically and critically about our own thought processes without using the same processes that have created those processes we want to analyze. I call this approach metamemetic thinking, which refers to the development of thinking skills capable of decoding accurately the fallaciousness, the brokenness, let's say, of thought patterns before adopting them, of course. Main indicators are seen to show how we are moving towards, unfortunately, a society focused on entertainment primarily and polarized and radicalized in many cases viewpoints and general superficial thinking. And this highlights the urgency of implementing our reasoning skills as an absolute necessity of nowadays. Critical thinking, which again does not seem to be working properly, should be therefore combined with the understanding of memetics, the application of what they call metamemetic thinking, and, and therefore the application of higher thinking abilities. Also considering how AI development is and will be more and more and more interfaced with the psychosocial human experience in the very, very, very soon future to come, if not even right now.